All right, this is going to be my roadmap for Pokemon games going into the Switch 2 era, going into Generation 10. I've got some ideas. We're all familiar with the major problem is that Pokemon Bank is closing. That has a whole host of rippling, problems for hardcore Pokemon fans, right? But I've kind of connected some dots, and I think I actually know what Nintendo's going to do next in terms of publishing these old Pokemon games. And the solution the solution, maybe I've been saying this forever, but there's a lot of things that have been like lining up, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling very emboldened, right? Okay, so the problem that we're all having this week, Pokemon Bank closes, right? Yeah, that sucks. People talk about preservation. People talk about, just like ease of access. People talk about like losing the fantasy of being, that Pokemon has bolstered up and supported as recently as 2024, the fantasy of being able to transfer your Pokemon from, one game to another region, collecting all of the, collecting ribbons, collecting shinies, collecting little, these Pokemon are real and living in our minds, right? And Game Freak and the Pokemon Company have sold this vision, and why I say 2024, in Pokemon Home, they had an update where they said, guess what? You can move Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet backwards for the first time since Generation 2. In Generation 1 and Generation 2, you could trade in between those games. So like a Geodude, a Pikachu caught in Silver version could be traded back to Generation 1, which is kind of cool. And in for the very first time since the dawn of the franchise, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Pokemon, like you catch a Pikachu in Scarlet and Violet, which is Generation 9, you can transfer that back into Generation 8, which was mind-blowing to me, and I had come to the conclusion at that point, I was like, okay, this is great. Like, this is giving me a lot of confidence that, like, they care. They really do care about this, like, this vision, this fantasy, which is, for as long as I can remember how I played these games. Like, I'd, play through Ruby version, transfer something to Fire Red, or I'd play through Leaf Green, transfer it to Emerald, and I'd box all my Pokemon, and then eventually I moved everything into Heart Gold, and then eventually I moved everything into Generation 5, and eventually I did move everything all the way up, but it got to a point where I started just, like, leaving stuff in those older games. This is maybe a conversation for a different time. I'm getting off the track. Okay. I think these old okay. Fire Red and Leaf Green, they're out. They're great. We just got confirmation that those are going to be connected to Home. Great. Now there's rumors about Ruby and Sapphire and maybe Emerald being ported as soon as like a month from now, which is insane. And it's also not actually that insane at all. Like, it's insane. It's exciting. But it's not even that crazy because the technology exists and there's no Generation 10 game coming out this year, right? So that's great. I'm honestly kind of taking that for gospel. Like, I just hope that happens. And if it doesn't, I'm expecting that to happen on Pokemon Day next year, right? And maybe they moved it ahead because it's like there's no game this year. Okay, give us these 2 new games. Great. Now we can get those games. And that kind of brings up this second, I guess, like, okay, this is like one of the first things where I'm like, interesting. No one is talking about this online, right? We're all doom and gloom, justifiably. I'm just, for the record, I'm on your side, but I'm trying to be optimistic. And right, we talk about like, people talk about like, what's the word? People talk about like, what's the word? Preservation, right? Or like being able to like keep your video games, right? Totally get that. And being able to use them, right? But I feel like that hasn't changed at all. If you bought these games on cart, you've got these games on cart. You can still use those games on cart. Yes, there's kind of 2 sides to this, and I kind of want to say, I think it's good that ports are good. Being able to purchase these games again as new players come into the series, come into the fandom, I think it's only good. I wish every single person could buy Fire Red, Leaf Green. Well, they can actually. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, like every game that you've ever enjoyed, every single classic Pokemon game that you've ever enjoyed, that you've had to shell out hundreds of dollars for, all of the apparatus that you've needed to purchase, a GameCube, an adapter, all these things, Pokemon Box, Pokemon Coliseum, right? XD Gale of Darkness, all of these games, thousands of dollars probably, right? And a lot of them I've been, my parents never threw out all my games. So I was able to amass a lot of Pokemon games just over time, and I didn't really need to think much about it. I had the games, and I still have the games. But what I'm trying to say is it's good. It is a good thing if classic games get ported. That is a good thing. That is a good thing. I just want to be like that. I advocate for games to be ported. I want that to happen, and it doesn't invalidate anything. I don't think it invalidates anything that you've already purchased, because you can still use that game. You can still play that game. Again, maybe this is a different conversation, but I have kind of an issue with a lot of the sentiment that I've been seeing online, which is like, these games are worthless now. And I'm like, I get it on one hand. If you use those games a certain way, who is anyone to say like you can't now enjoy it that way? But to me, when I'm playing through these Pokemon games, like, I'm a collector like anyone else. I collect different things, and I collect my personal teams, and I'm not so much shiny hunting to that, or I don't have like those specific major goals. Like, I just kind of collect my own stuff. But for me, like, a lot of the enjoyment from these old games comes from playing the games, and then, training in the post game. And yeah, it is fun. It is fun to trade stuff up. It can be fun to trade stuff up, especially when we're talking about like Generation 4 or 5 games. But listen, we're already 7 minutes into this video, and I got to start spitting out some of my points. So I'm trying to tell a story, but let me just, I'm going to start lining some stuff up right here. Okay, first thing is, Pokemon games on the second-hand market, super expensive. Ridiculously expensive is my point. And to be able to buy these games, Emerald version, to be able to buy Ruby version for dirt cheap. How much does Pokemon Emerald cost right now? Let's look it up. I have no idea. I bought these games 5 years ago. Holy $240. I did not know Emerald was that expensive. That's crazy. That's one more to my point. That's insane. Okay. So Nintendo, the Pokemon company, Game Freak, they are reclaiming these games, right, and giving them to the masses. That is what Fire Red and Leaf Green does. It's hilarious that everyone said Fire Red and Leaf Green weren't worth $20 because you can just emulate. Go ahead, you can do that. No one's stopping you. But to make these games more easily accessible and to be able to just like, at a click of a, like, I literally almost bought Fire Red last night. I was like browsing the eShop, and I was like, I'm just dreaming about getting Ruby version. That's gonna be so much fun, just to have it on my game and to be whatever. Anyways, so that's the first thing. I think these games, I think it's a good thing, and it's in. There's for the three parties. There's 3 parties involved. For existing fans, yeah, it's a bummer. If you want to be able to play these games and have them connect to your new games, you got to buy them again. That's a bummer. But guess what? It's not going to be $240. It's going to be $20, right? That's not that big of a deal. For new fans, they can't even get it. Now they can get it for $20. That's awesome. That's good. That's awesome. And for Nintendo publishing these games, they're making a buck. They're reclaiming it. Like, what I'm saying is not that's a good thing. Like I just heard the words that came out of my mouth. I'm not saying, oh, good, the big giant corporation got more money. I'm saying it's in their benefit. Therefore, this is probably going to happen. That is what I'm saying. So that's the first thing. Now, what is the second thing? Because I'm yapping this morning. Holy cow. Second thing is we have seen. I guess what I want to say is, like, going forward, right, into 2027, yeah, Generation 10 is coming around, the block. Generation 10's coming up quick. But I think we are still going to see DS games afterwards. I think we're going to see DS games And the big question for me is, what are they doing with Diamond and Pearl? Because we already got BDSP. And then I thought about it, and we have seen this before. We have seen this before. There have been like HD ports, HD remakes of games like Wind Waker. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Super Mario Sunshine, right? These GameCube games that got ported over the last 10 years, or they got remade, HD remastered in the last 10 years. Guess what? Now they're just straight up ported on NSO on my Switch too. Like, I could play those right now. And so now I'm realizing, yeah, we're going to get Diamond and Pearl. Diamond and Pearl are coming out. We're also going to get Platinum and Heart Gold, Soul Silver. There's a lot of DS games. Black, White, Black 2, and White 2. Okay, and then let's back up here. The other big question is, what are you talking about, Liam? What are you talking about? These are DS games. They have 2 screens. They have touch screen compatibility. It's kind of weird. It's kind of freaky. Like, they're not going to mess with this. They wouldn't know what to do. It doesn't make sense. But it does make sense. And the quick cop-out that I don't even think we need is, yeah, there have been rumors forever of a second screen apparatus for your Switch 2. That's nice. I could see that actually rolling out, and that'd be kind of cool. That'd be fun. You just pop it on, it locks in, and now you can have, like, you can play with a clamshell. That's fun. I would hope that does exist, just because it's fun for handheld. But this technology, the dual screen technology, porting games with a dual screen, we've seen that before. There are games on the eShop that get like official releases, kind of like what we saw with Fire Red and Leaf Green, and they have dual screen compatibility, and they just put the second screen like in the corner. That's one way they could do it. And the thing that really made it click for me, right? I think there's this like idea that touchscreen is like too difficult. But are we forgetting? And I really should have had props for this. I have all my DS games over there, and my Switch is upstairs. The Switch 2 introduced motion control through the Joy-Con, like the mouse mode. Are we forgetting that that's like literally, that is what that would be the solution? Instead of touchscreen compatibility, or instead of a stylus, we're using mouse mode. That is literally like a perfect solution for these DS games. And I think also we are at the end. I feel like we are getting at the end of, like, during the Switch lifetime, we've had, for years now, we've had Game Boy Advance and we've had GameCube games. And I think it's only a matter of time, and it's probably going to be after Generation 10. So this might be like 2 years out, but it's going to be probably after Generation 10. They're going to say, guess what? Wii is coming to NSO, and DS is coming to NSO. And here's all your great games. And you can get Mystery Dungeon as a Pokemon fan. I get to play Nintendogs. Super Mario 64. Man, I'm getting old. The fact that these games, I remember opening these games on like Christmas morning is crazy. Yeah, all of those classic Wii games, Twilight Princess. I don't know, man. Wii Sports on NSO is gonna crush. That's gonna be fun. And so what I'm saying is, once that technology's out there, like, we're locked and loaded, and I think we're gonna start seeing all of these DS games get ported. And I think I was harping so much on the money aspect in the beginning because, like, yeah, it's not good. I'm not saying it's like just to be clear, none of this is me saying, oh, I'm glad Bank closed. This is me saying, listen, Bank is closing, but I still think a lot of these old Pokemon games are going to be playable in the next couple of years. And in the past, I've been wrong, but I think in the past, what I've realized is we were not far enough from the release of these games. And Pokemon Bank still existed, right? But right now, as it is, Pokemon Bank, we were all being able to use it for free. And as far as, like, the people who own these old games, they weren't, like, sorry, not fans, the company, right? like the Pokemon company. They're basically, like, the fact that these games exist, great. I get to play them all the time. And Bank works. So I never need to, I don't know. I'm like, a lot of people would say, like, I don't need ports. And all I'm saying, all I'm saying is, if Bank is closing, I think ports is in the... I think we're going to start getting these games rolling out. And they've already shown us that, well, we might see in the next month, if Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald get dropped, right, and get ported, that means with Fire Red and Leaf Green, that's 5 brand new Pokemon games in a single year. That is insane. I did not think that was going to be a thing at all, and that's crazy. That's actually insane. So then we're looking at, oh, guess what? Year of Sinnoh. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum dropping. Or maybe we just get Diamond and Pearl, or maybe Diamond and Pearl or Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Those games do connect with each other. Man, so much fun. And then maybe what we could be seeing is Fire Red and Leaf Green being able to be like maybe you can, with Fire Red and Leaf Green, transfer Pokemon up into these Generation 4 games. Damn, dude. The dream is alive. And then Black and White. And honestly, maybe there's the rest of the Switch 2 era is just like getting all these DS games. The last bit of, and the last bit of like a little bit of, I don't know. This is something I'm not like hopeful for, but I'm hopeful for it. And I think it would be like really, really awesome. And I think there's a lot of benefit and value in this. I just don't know because there's no precedent. But there's precedent with other Nintendo games. Is the idea of an HD port, right? We see that with all of these other different series, HD ports. You're telling me Sun and Moon with a just like upscaled to HD, higher saturation and just slapped on the Switch 2 wouldn't go crazy. It would be so beautiful. These games are stunning. I think these games are still stunning to this day. And I honestly, I gotta play it, but I don't know if I'm just like getting old. But I'm like, the small DS screens just don't hit the same anymore. They really don't. I'm like, I want to play stuff on my TV, and if I could play Sun and Moon on my TV, I'd be much more willing to pick it up. And these games are like cinematic. I don't know. I think that would be like a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And there's obviously games in here that like, honestly, this actually might be the way to go. This really might actually be the way to go. If they give us all these ports, right? I say all of these ports. If they give us the DS ports is really what I'm talking about. That's the Hoenn games, the Johto games, the Unova games. Think about it. We have not been to Johto or Hoenn. So, Johto or Unova, rather. We have not been to Johto or Unova in like 15 years. Like, there has not been a new game in so long. And if they're giving us Fire Red and Leaf Green, that's Kanto. If we get Hoenn through Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Sinnoh through Diamond and Pearl Platinum, with Johto through Heart Gold and Soul Silver, in Unova with Black and White, Black 2 and White 2. We just were in Kalos with ZA. We don't need Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because we already have the Hoenn games. And so the only thing that's missing is Alola. We get an HD port, and we get and we just get these like flat out ports of the DS games, which are super old at this point. I mean, 2006. Dude, that's crazy. 2006 is when Diamond and Pearl came out. That was 20 years ago. Holy cow. That's insane. Then we, for the first time in so long, have every single Pokemon region playable on the Switch 2, which we have not seen. We have not seen that. We have not seen that since the 3DS. That is crazy, and it just came all full circle. Damn, dude, that would be a blast. Because then it literally just lines up with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And so I guess, yeah, I think the fact that Fire Red and Leaf Green are or Pokemon Bank, the fact that Pokemon Bank is closing, I think it just means in the next couple of years. And I'm literally talking the next like year and a half, 2 years. I think Gen 10. I don't know what's gonna happen next year. I don't know what's gonna happen next year. That would be insane if they drop like Diamond and Pearl or something on Pokemon Day. I don't know. That sounds kind of crazy, right? But I would imagine like next year is just for Generation 10. But who knows? Because like, I think a lot of people want to moan and groan that like, oh, this we don't have a brand new game on the 30th year anniversary. But like, it sounds like, I mean, to get all these ports, that's a pretty good 30th. That's pretty sweet. I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm wrapped up Leaf Green. I'm like 95% done that game, and I'm like, I'm ready to pick up Fire Red. But I really want to play Ruby next. I want to play Ruby next. it hits so different on the TV, and the colors are different. And I didn't even talk about that. Go check out all my other videos. I've made other videos talking about all the things, all the giveaway events, and the new content that is unlocked in these older games. Like we got Deoxys, Lugia, Ho-Oh in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but like there are mystery gift events that I've personally never gotten in Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, like the Arceus event, Heart Gold Soul Silver, the Arceus event. There, in Black and White, Black 2 and White 2, there's so many legendaries and mythical Pokemon, Keldeo, that I just never have witnessed in like when playing those games. I think that's what's happening. I think 100% we're getting this is the roadmap. This is how the Pokemon Company, this is how Game Freak can make every single Pokemon region in story playable again, to restore this balance that has been lost with Pokemon Bank. I don't know. I'm fine with this. And okay. And if we're gonna talk price, I think these games would be. How much was Black and White when it debuted? Nope. What? Nope, that's a Black and White television. Pokemon. Let's see, Pokemon Black and White. $35. That's how much I paid for all these DS games growing up. If the OG games are $20, if the Game Boy Advance games are $20 each, I could see these being like $30 each. I could see them being 25. I could see them being 30. They're DS games. I could see them being 25 because if you're gonna buy a lot of them, 25 seems pretty good. And listen, I spent $20 on Leaf Green and I'm over 100 hours into the game. If you go to the movies, that's like 2 hours of your life. Crazy. I don't know. Please, in the comments, tell me what you guys think about this. I don't think this is that crazy. I know I'm the guy who's been screaming about ports forever. And every time I had a reason in the past, but I just think this is really starting to crystallize. Like, everything is just lining up. I think it's the right time. It's the 30th anniversary. Bank is no longer accessible. They're setting things up to make a move. So in Generation 10, you can actually go to all these different regions and then bring them up into Generation 10. That's exciting. That's fun. Right? Generation 10 is supposed to be this like island hopping adventure. Part of that is all of these different places to go to. Dude, I cannot wait to get Ruby and Sapphire. I'm so stoked. So stoked to get Ruby and Sapphire. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. That's my dog Simon. And check out the main channel. I just uploaded a pretty big video detailing what my ideal return to the Unova region would be. My ideal Gen 5 remake in quotes. It's really a Black 3 and White 3 game. I got an original. I commissioned a brand new logo for Black 3 and White 3, and I also commissioned 3D a 3D animation, like a title screen with a design of the original dragon, and that's in that video. You can also check out on my studio channel, Headcanon Studio. That's where I upload all of these 3D animations that I make for these game concepts. You can go check that out if you want to support, or if you're interested. If you want to support, hit the subscribe button. Yeah, I did make, like I said, I've made a lot of videos about ports. Feel free to go check those out. They're on this channel, Dusty Topic, if you want to check it out. And since I'm doing ports, bbspc.com. My buddy Sam made this website, and it is a beast. It is an absolute beast. It's stunning. It's like my little secret that I've just shared with all of you. Thank you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.